Hi, now welcome to a video on the WindStick. Now, what on earth is the WindStick? I hear a couple of you saying. Well, it's probably the simplest tool that you can actually find to learn about how the body works as far as elasticity and movement of air goes. Now, it's simply a little plastic pipe, and it's got a hole in the end. Now, what we want to do firstly is to understand that we need to get air out of the body. So, like Bobby Shue teaches you to spit rice. So the tip of the tongue goes through the lips, and then you get it out of the way, of course, but it sets up an airstream. Okay, so now we're going to close the aperture down a little bit, but we're not going to pinch. We're going to put the WindStick between the lips, and you can feel the end of it with your tongue. So you know that there's a direct airflow between the teeth, and you can hear the air okay. Now I just made the audio, you heard what happened, and that's kind of good because that's what the whole principle of this is. After you take a deep breath, the elasticity of the body, like the cartilage between the lungs and everything, it expands, and then it must reduce to its natural position of repose. So when you use the WindStick, the only way you can actually stop the air from flowing out is by either putting your tongue over the end of the hole or really like closing your throat off. It's an extraordinary phenomenon. So if I take a deep breath, you can just feel the air flowing through. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like blowing up a balloon and then putting a hole in it with a needle, and the air's going to come out because the size of the balloon has to reduce to its normal size of repose as well. So the idea of this is to get an understanding, in fact, of how much air is required to make a sound on a trumpet. It's all about improving efficiency. Now, kids, don't try this at home. Now, the whole purpose is to understand how much air it takes to create a sound on an instrument. So if I light a match, okay, can we see the match happening? Now, the practice is to blow as much as you possibly, as little as you can, without blowing the match out. Oh, I blew it out. Okay. So the idea is to not blow the match out. Now, the whole purpose of that is when you do it for long enough, you can recognize you're moving the smallest amount of air. Yet if you do that on the instrument, you can make a really quiet sound. Okay, you're hardly moving any air. There's a little bit moving, but if you balance the airflow with the tension of the corners, a sound will be produced. It's the closest thing to effortless that there is, but you will feel what I'm talking about. Now, the whole purpose of the WindStick is if we demonstrate this, I was doing nothing. There's a lot of air moving, and the match was extinguished instantly. There's so much power in the smallest amount of air going through here that's not being expelled at all. Okay, so I'm not saying that you're going to be able to play all over the instrument at a large volume, at a big dynamic volume by doing nothing. That's not possible. But it starts to give you an understanding of what's required to make a sound on the instrument. It's far less than what you would imagine. And the whole experience of feeling the body reduce in size and letting the air flow naturally will really change the way that you approach playing. Overblowing is one of the big problems. This is a great way of fixing it. Okay, that's the WindStick.